you're the leader or a business owner, you probably think you're in like values level 5. Just so you know, that's not fucking guaranteed. And so you're potentially self-sabotaging. You're potentially setting up scenarios where your team members can't be successful because you want to make sure that you feel good about yourself. You can be an entrepreneur. You can have those same beliefs, skill sets, desire for innovation, creativity, and still be an employee in an incredible company. And so if you're a leader, this one is for you. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't like your work colleagues, you'll probably get benefit from this one too. Welcome to Life by 8, your blueprint for living the most extraordinary life. I am Rebecca Grugan, your life architect on this journey to designing your ultimate life. If you are ready to level up using values levels, understanding yourself with the energetic blueprint, our 8 pillars to human wellness framework, this is for you. You are in the right place, so let's go. Welcome to this week's episode on 3 tips on using values levels. So values levels is something that I'm absolutely passionate about and want every human being to know. Today I'm going to specialize or talk into maximizing your team potential. So 3 ways in which you can use values levels to get the best out of your team, to increase the culture at your team, at your business, at your company, whatever it is. But today it's about how do values levels impact a team environment. And so if you're a leader, this one is for you. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't like your work colleagues, you'll probably get benefit from this one too. So thank you for being here. Values levels is a psychology framework by Dr. Claire Graves from the 60s. And it is absolutely brilliant when it comes to understanding humanity and our evolution as a whole, but also for countries. Yes, countries have their own values levels, and so do companies, and so do individuals. So knowing where you are and what values levels you're currently sitting at or transitioning between is super, super important to make sense of yourself. Now, can you imagine if everybody has their own values levels, but then you're in a team dynamic? How that plays out. And so just to give you some context, if you work in a government job, department, you're likely, that's a values level 4 company. Rules, black and white, yes, no, right, wrong. It's quite structured, right? And so what usually happens in a values level 4 company, you'll likely have values level 3 and 4 people. And the issue you can get is when you get people starting to transition to a 4-5 values level. When innovation, entrepreneurship, that drive, if the company doesn't shift with them, you'll usually start to lose that talent. And so if you're somebody who works and has worked in a government job for a long time as a public servant, and you're starting to wonder why you all of a sudden don't want to be there, it's likely that you're in a transition and you're needing more and you're needing flexibility that you're unable to get in a values level 4 space. And so many teams here in Australia, so Australia is a values level 4 country, and many of our companies are values level 3 and 4. And just to give you some context, a values level 5 company would be, say, Apple, a values level 5-6 transition company, which there's not many there, would be things like IKEA. As they start to move to that global sustainability with their packaging and their refund or returns policy, all of those things, that company is starting to move towards a values level 5-6. And the magic about that is that when you are transitioning into a 4-5 place, values level, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. In past episodes I've spoken into, and I am super passionate about, people realizing that you don't have to fucking be an entrepreneur. You don't have to go out and start your own business. You can, and it is great. Though, it requires sacrifice, work ethic, and more than 4 hours sitting on a fucking beach a week. All right? So I'm just going to give you, that's my belief, that's my honest answer for that. So just because you're going into values level 5 doesn't mean you have to go out and be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur. You can have those same beliefs, skill sets, desire for innovation, creativity, and still be an employee in an incredible company. However, that requires you to be able to shift yourself to a company that aligns with your values levels. Otherwise, you'll start to outgrow the place that you're in. So Just to give you some context, when you are in a team, that is where the shift is. As people start to move their values levels, your dynamics and relationships start to shift. So, understanding values levels and being able to see it or understanding of each staff member, super, super important. You can either learn about values level yourself, and when you do, I have a course called Level Up, which is specifically on values levels. When you understand values levels, it's almost like you walk around the world looking at numbers above people's heads. You start to able to categorize them and make sense of where they might be coming from, what values levels they might be at. And if you do that course, we also have the values levels test. And then you can use that test with the team that you lead, or with, if you are in that team and you want everybody to do it, you can see if your leadership team will allow you to. However, understanding the values levels and able to assess it helps you make sense of what might be going on. If something's going wrong, what could it be? And this is the thing. Many companies think that it's all just about giving a financial bonus or giving some type of flexibility, you can work from home. But each person and each values levels will have different desires and traits. And so it's not all about just giving everybody a financial bonus or paying just above award and expecting everybody to celebrate and love that. For people in values levels 2, that need or want for belonging, they're the people who are going to want to go to the team meetings and the team events, the Christmas parties. They want places where they can feel like they're part of a community. Values level 3 people will want to know what's in it for them. And that is where things like flexibility, the ability to give feedback in their opinion, those things will matter to them more than financial bonuses. Values level 4 will like collaboration, and also though, they want you to lead because they will feel the guilt and they want to feel like they're included, but they'll want you to lead them. They'll want to be told what to do because it's black and white. They're used to that structure. And somebody going into values level 5, they want true collaboration. They want their opinion to matter. They want to have wins. They want to have impact. And so if you're a company or a leader, it's really important to understand each values level and where each of your team members are at, because you then get to be really flexible in how you meet each of their needs. And that's how you get cohesion. That's how you get positive work culture. That's where optimism is when you are willing to see each person in the team for who they are, where they are, and to drop your own expectations, what you think they should all be doing, and allow yourself as a team to increase that standard, but to have that expectation together rather than just your own. Now, if you're the leader or a business owner, you probably think you're in like values level 5. Just so you know, that's not fucking guaranteed. You can build a business from a values level 3, and in values level 3, it's where you actually manipulate resources to get what you want. Whereas in values level 5, you're able to get win-win scenarios. You're able to hold more perspectives. And so, do the test. Let me know what you are in the comments below or send me a DM. But just allow yourself to put the ego to the side and actually get an understanding of where you are in your own values levels, because you will be leading your team or building your business from that values level. And so the things that you desire, the things that you want, if you're someone who's getting frustrated that you're having high turnover in your team, you're likely to be building or leading from a values level 3 or 4 space. And if you're doing that and you're increasing and you're bringing in great talent, they may be a higher values levels to you. This is the problem. If you're in values level 3, you won't like that. And so you're potentially self-sabotaging. You're potentially setting up scenarios where your team members can't be successful because you want to make sure that you feel good about yourself. I know. I'm okay if you hate me. So, truth. If you want to be able to influence the behavior, the motivation, and the interaction your team members have, values levels allows you to create the spaces the places, the opportunities for them to all have success, to have flexibility, to be seen, heard, and understood. You can do this through surveys, you can do this with one-on-one discussions and your own observations. Allowing for regular feedback sessions allows you to gauge team members' priorities and their concerns. Now, this next part of information is really about those who lead teams, whether you're the business owner or the manager or the leader of a team. It's really imperative that you look for the psychological safety of every one of your team members. And so Values Levels allows you to prioritize this and to be able to set each of them up for success, meaning a Values Levels 2 employee is highly unlikely to speak up in a team environment because their biggest priority is to fit in. And so if you're wanting their feedback, their ideas, you're likely to get that from a one-on-one setting rather than a group setting. Because in a group setting, your Values Levels 3 staff members are the ones who are going to rule the show. Because it's all about themselves. They want their voice to be heard. They want to know what's in it for me. And if your culture seems to be changing and shifting and turning quite negatively, quite toxic, have a look at your Values Level 3 employees. Where are they taking advantage of opportunities? Where are they taking advantage of people and resources? Because this is likely to be where the toxicity is happening, where the breakdown in communication is happening, where people are not feeling safe to speak up about their ideas or the problems that they're seeing happening. Also, if you're trying to make changes or bring in new ideas, it's your Values Level 3 people who are likely to go, well, I'm not doing that. That doesn't suit me. There's nothing in that for me. Because it's that for me that a Values Level 3 is all about. Values Level 4 humans, this is where change can be happen because they don't really like change. They fear it. And they're the people who might be, but we've always done it this way. You might have always done it that way, but that's not where innovation happens. However, they're also the people who will call out your Values Level 3 people because they've gone through Values Level 3 transition themselves. But they'll tell you when someone's doing the right or wrong scenario. And so I'm not sure if you remember high school or even primary school. There was this Values Levels is something that I love because it also brings in a lot of humor. But I remember being in primary school and people would sing the song Dibba Dobba Cindy, you go to kindy. Because if you're Values Level 4 and you're dobbing on somebody for doing the wrong thing, your Values Level 3 people are the ones who are usually singing that. And so it happens in our childhood as well. It happens in high school where you have people who have gone through Values Level 3 and going into 4. You have some people who go into Values Level 3 and never leave. I know. You know somebody I'm talking about. They might be 50 and they're still in Values Level 3. That is okay. Because the thing is that every Values Levels has positive and negative. But the reason I'm telling you this is because in a company, Values Levels 4, they can be super valuable to help bring structure in, to help systems run smoothly, but they can also be a hindrance when it comes to innovation and change. And so this is why it's important or imperative to ensure that as a leader, you are coming from a space of Values Level 5, which is innovation, which is win-win, which is with the ability to hold as many perspectives as possible. Do you think that you can do that? And if you can't, can you put your ego to the side and hire that skill set in, whether that is by adding people to the team as employees or bringing in an entourage of people that are smarter than you, who have that skill set, because it's always possible. But the thing is that once this is in your awareness, this is where you bring in the A4 process. Awareness, acknowledge the parts that you're willing to accept and the parts that you reject. Again, you never have to believe everything I say. This just gets to be information that you choose to do with it what you will. But you go through the awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance. When you get to full acceptance, then you can take action. That is how embodied change happens. This is how you transition between values levels. And if you've had the question come up, because it comes up all the time, no, you can't skip values levels, you have to go through all of them. So a lot of values level 3 people want to go straight to values level 5. You have to go through 4 because the systems and the processes and the structure, learning that, accepting that, embodying that allows you to get the win-win that values level 5 gives you. And so understanding these team dynamics, because the thing is this can map across to the sports team that you might be the coach of. This can map across to your family unit. Understanding values levels in a team dynamic where everybody is working towards the singular goal, that understanding allows you to tailor your communication and your leadership strategies to those individual needs. And ultimately, one of the natural human tendencies we have is to want to belong. And that doesn't actually matter what values levels you're at. Because if we don't belong, we think we're going to die. Because if you think about our evolution, if you were the weakest in the clan or the tribe, if you were the slowest, you're likely to be the one who gets eaten by the lion. And so that desire to want to belong, to fit in, to be seen, to be valued is a natural human tendency for every human. And starseed. It's the human experience. And so being able to understand that that's there, but each values levels, each person individually is on a different trajectory. And so being able to speak to a values levels 2, how you would speak to a values levels 2 human compared to a 3 would be different. For instance, values levels 2 are known for pedestaling and pitting people. They look up, they look for the chief, they'll sacrifice themselves for the greater good. They can be really great team players. But how you speak to them is more likely to ask for some of their ideas. However, they'll want you to start the idea off and they'll add on to that. But they're looking at you as their chief for that guidance. Whereas a values level 3 person, you would ask them straight out for their opinion without giving yours. And your goal is to guide the conversation so that they think the idea is theirs. And if you're in values level 5, you're okay with them thinking that the idea is theirs. You don't need your ego to know that about, everybody knows that it was my idea. Allow it to be theirs. But that's how you get their buy-in. And a values level 4 person, when you speak to them, come with as much of the information as possible, as much of the why when it comes to change, when it comes to why you might be doing the thing that you're doing and why you might be doing or wanting to do the thing differently in the future. Because if you just spring change onto them, but don't align it with what they already know, that fear and overwhelm sets in and they'll double down on the fact that they don't want to change, that there's no reason to change. So understanding this allows you and helps your journey to be easier as a leader, but also for each of your team members to feel seen. Another tip, the power of alignment. So when you have your team goals or your company goals, and hopefully, if you haven't already, you've worked out collective values. So you don't just have a mission statement or a vision statement that's on a fucking wall or in a pamphlet that no one ever refers back to and it doesn't make any sense. Just so you know, 75% of companies, that's actually the truth. Embody your values. Embody that mission. When you can do that, and you can align each of your team members to that and help them see how they benefit personally from that alignment, that is where the motivation comes from. Because everybody feels like they're part of something greater, part of a bigger vision. And it meets that natural human tendency of wanting to belong. If you don't take control as the leader, if you don't actually lead, then you will be stuck in managing the conflict, managing people. And you will soon burn out. And you will feel like you almost have to clear out all of your staff and start again. But that's not what actually has to happen. If you allow yourself to put the ego to the side, make sense of where you're at personally, because this is the thing, values levels is not just where you are personally and professionally, It's all of you. It's what you embody. And so when you can embody that, and you can embody the mission and the values of your company or the company that you work for, it becomes easier to lead others. So instead of putting fires out all the time and resolving conflict and having to get HR involved, you actually start to build towards cohesion because you have people at each values levels motivated and engaged because they're in the right role. They're in the right place. When you can communicate those shared values and remember that external validation is a big part of what adults actually need. This is a lesson that I learned difficultly over the last couple of years is I'm not somebody who words of affirmation, i.e. love languages, is huge. However, I also am aware that most adults from about 25 and up have gone through mainstream education. And so external validation has been tied to their self-worth. And so I wasn't really saying anything to anybody. And like when they would do a good job, because from a Montessori perspective, we want intrinsic motivation. Most humans that are working in your company need external validation. And so allowing yourself to actually tell them when they're doing a good job will help with that engagement. To acknowledge when an idea is somebody else's and not yours helps with engagement. This is a thing. Leadership has never been about you. If you are leading others, it's about them first. What I mean by that is that knowing yourself, knowing your values levels, knowing that strength allows you to tell the truth, to say what you mean, to acknowledge others for what they bring to the table, rather than just being worried about people seeing what you bring to the table. And so getting that cohesion, getting that engagement is going to increase your productivity. And so if you have a board or people you have to report to, these tips, these are going to fundamentally shift the outcomes, the results, the data, the things that other people might tick off. So values levels, team, engagement, cohesion, aligning your goals. When you understand each of those values levels, you'll start to be able to create a strategy in which you know how to meet each of those needs. So you might have currently in your setting, you might say you have a weekly team meeting. In those team meetings, have you designed it so that it meets all of the values levels of 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is majority of what you might have in some companies. A lot of Australian companies will have 2, 3, and 4. However, in say that group meeting that you usually have you got an agenda? Have you got a written document that the values level 4 people can make sense of? Have you got the opportunity for Q&A? Have you got the opportunity for opinions to be collected? Values level 3. When voting for something, for change, how do you do it? Brene Brown has this incredible process where she uses Post-it notes. And it's something that I teach in the training that I do at Business Bootcamp and with some of my clients in their businesses, is if you do this, if you put your hands up if you want the change, your values levels 2 people are unlikely to put their hand up because they're too scared of being wrong or being the only one. And so your values level 3 people start to run the show when it comes to getting what they want, even if it's not in the best interest of everybody else. So Brene Brown talks about you have this Post-it note and everybody has one and they've got 10 seconds to write down their answer and flip it over. So you can't see it. And then everybody flips it over at the same time. And what it does is it helps stop bandwagon, like people jumping on the bandwagon, or the halo effect, where everybody waits till the most dominant person in the team, whatever they say, and then everybody agrees to it. It allows yourself to get feedback and get everybody's true answer rather than the dynamics that values levels plays out in traditional meetings. So that's a strategy that if you haven't already implemented is something that you can and is super, super powerful when you do so. Do you involve your team when you are coming up with your goal setting, with your growth strategy? Sometimes it's not always viable to do that. And sometimes you might have to do some planning before you do that. However, I do recommend that if you can somehow get them involved in the process, you'll increase their commitment, you'll increase their drive, their want, their desire, because they feel like they are being heard. And ultimately, as humans, yes, we want to belong, but we want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want to matter. And so how are you leading your team? How do each of them matter to you? And do they know it? Because if you're like past versions of me, you get so busy, you forget that sometimes we don't actually tell them. And that can be all that's required, is to actually tell your team, tell the individuals in your team, make the time for them one-on-one so that they know that they matter. And the last tip that I have is to adapt your leadership so that it supports those different values levels. Adaptability doesn't mean, oh, I've got to go down to their level. You might have heard people say, like, I'm taking the high road. I don't want to drop to their level. This is not about values levels being better than each other. It's a different evolutionary journey that each human is on. And so when I talk about adapting, what I mean is, what does the values level 3 need? And how can you make it win-win for everybody? What does the values levels 2 need? And how can you make it win-win for everybody? If you are in values level 5, you now have the flexibility to move through the values levels that you've already done. See, the thing is that values levels 2 and 3 and 4, they can't see the world the way that you do. That doesn't make you better than them. But it gives you the ability to put your hand out and bring them up, to help them on their journey. And so you can see win-win. Values levels under values level 5 cannot. So it's your job. It's you have to adapt if you want to lead with strength, with success, with every opportunity being taken on by the team. And so adapting that leadership helps you support your team wherever they are at, instead of expecting them to meet you where you're at, because it's not possible. That's why I love values levels, is because you can't skip them, because it is so real and it shows up the traits and the expectations of each values level. And so instead of, Bob is shit, Bob doesn't do this, Bob might be values levels 2 and hasn't got that skill set yet. Karen might be values level 3. And I know that in Australia we have the joke about Karens, and I feel sorry for those who've got the name Karen. However, what we're talking about here is that's values level 3. They may not be able to see beyond survival, beyond what they need to survive. And so when you can understand the values levels, you can understand that that is probably a need of Karen's, is that she actually needs to be seen and heard to help her move out of survival into thriving. And if you want to maintain your great staff, to help them grow and progress, then the flexibility starts with you, instead of you expecting the flexibility from them. Each of those values levels has different motivational drivers. They have different needs, and I've spoken into many of them already so far, right? And so the thing is that if they're in a transition, they're going to be rejecting that and they're going to be desiring that. And that's why it can feel like, you've had somebody for a few years and you're like, they've changed. That's not what I hired. People change. The world, the universe rewards progress. And so people's needs and their drivers are going to shift. And that means that if you are, somebody who was in values level 3 and you're now wanting more systems and structure, you might have been able to connect to that person when they're in values level 3. And then you may have all of a sudden not understanding why they all of a sudden want you to send emails and structure and need to be told what to do again. And that's because their needs and drivers have changed because they're transitioning from one values levels to the other. And that's what we want in humanity, is people to progress. And so your ability to adapt is extremely important for you to get the most out of people. And so some people want you to be more directive, values levels 2, values level 4. Some people want you to be able to lead and create the opportunity to feel empowered, values level 3, values level 5. Sometimes it's more of a hands-on approach. And that's usually people who value structure, values level 2 and 4. And sometimes it requires offering the autonomy for those who value independence, values level 3, values level 5. You see, this structure of values levels makes everything easier to understand. It makes everything possible, and it takes the emotion out of it, which is something that I believe humans need to do, is to really allow ourselves to understand the logic and the emotion. And how do we bring that together? And values levels does that so magically. So, to recap, understanding each of your team members' values levels, you can do this by learning values levels yourself and then being able to estimate that, or you can do the test, get each of your staff members to do the values levels test, which I have, so you can reach out if you want access to that. You can then look at how can you meet each of those values levels where they're at and align the goals and collective values and ensure that you are adapting your leadership style, that you are taking that responsibility. So I wonder how you feel. What are your thoughts? As a leader, can you see how values levels can make your job easier? How it can make the experience for your team more effective? How it can help people feel seen, heard, and understood? I would love your feedback. I would love to know your thoughts. And what else would you like to know about values levels and how it can transform your life and your business? Thank you for being here for another episode. And as always, please reach out, share this with anybody you think it will be of value to, and like and subscribe on all socials. Have a great day, and thank you for being here.